Alright, so it is now 7:32. We're entering back into a public session. Just as an FYI, we started out as executive session at 7 o'clock. Had a quick meeting and trying to get out of here as quickly as possible. We had our roll call. You'll see who's here. Don Cass, who's on the board, is normally on time, is running a little bit late. Mike Anderson, who also is normally here, is in Boston on business. He offered to bring me baked beans, is what he suggested. We held off on the Pledge of Allegiance. We were waiting for the little guys to come up here. So if you guys want to come up and help us with the Pledge of Allegiance, we can all rise. You're certainly dressed for it tonight, Charles. So we have a couple presentations, and Mr. A, I'll give the floor to you to do your thing.
Good evening. It's funny, I saw a lot of you here last time we had a board meeting, because we just recognize our Riverview kids because there's so many great things going on in our building. But I will say that, you know, we recognize our kids, but I have to take a moment again to say how lucky we are at Riverview School to have the staff that we have. They are continually trying to find ways to delve deeper and deeper into experiences for your kids that just bring them to new levels. Academically, socially, emotionally, our teachers touch your child's lives in so many ways. And a few years ago, Dr. Cullis had sent out an email to the administrators about some resources that our teachers can use to delve even further and further into the Math Common Core. One of the things that was sent out to us, you know, were 10 marks. It's an online math program. And we as administrators certainly can do one thing. We can pass that resource on to the teacher, but it takes a talented teacher and a dedicated teacher and a teacher who motivates to use that resource in a certain way to allow his or her kids to reach new heights. So I'm happy to say that Mr. Bertani, or one of our 5th grade teachers, did that with his class last year, but he took the class this year due to his motivation and your child's persistence to a whole new level. And we thought that this would be appropriate to recognize them tonight. So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Bertani, our 5th grade teacher.
So everybody can see. You can go both sides, behind me.
Actually, Mr. Bertani, there's a camera right there. Actually, parents as well. So this is going to be up on YouTube at the district's channel. So if you like what you're seeing now, come back to the website or later and you can see all of this. Later, not later. Tomorrow. But now they're on camera.
I want to start by thanking the board for having us here tonight and just recognizing all the students for their hard work. Thank the administration and everybody who brought 10 marks to the district and just brought it to our attention, and really for the support throughout the whole program. So just to tell you a little bit about 10 marks, it's a competition that's sponsored by Amazon. And what they do in March is they have a March Madness, which is a 6-week-long competition where the students compete with 5th, 6th, and 7th grade classes across the nation. We worked for 5 weeks, decided to take spring break off. Need a little break. And like Mr. Andreas has said, it was something that the district had put in place for the summer program to help with some of the summer math, and we just wanted to take that a step further. So I'm very proud of the students for everything that they accomplished. Actually, by week two, they started setting their own goals. So I stepped out of the room, let them decide every single day and every single week what kind of goals they wanted to set for themselves, where they wanted to be by the end of the day, where they wanted to be by the end of the week. A lot of the times I had no idea what their goals were, and that made it even more fun for me as I'm tracking them. For them, it was a competition. For me, to be honest, since we are talking about education, the data that I received from 10 marks was absolutely phenomenal. I was able to track the students' growth, how they were doing in the different Common Core, leading up into Park and even into the future, using it still now, just to see where I needed small group instruction, large group instruction, what did they focus in September, what do I have to touch on again. So for them, that was the hidden thing that they didn't know about. But for me, that was the main part of this competition that I wanted to use, and they helped me do that, so I have to thank them. But their perseverance and just everything, all their effort that they put forth is really to be commended because it's everything that they did. So to tell a little bit more about it, I'll let the students speak about the competition from their side of things.
As Mr. Patani said, we competed for 5 of the 6 weeks against 5th, 6th, and 7th grade classes from across the nation. Our big goal was to break into the top 25 classes by the end of the competition. To accomplish this goal, we had to complete as many problems as we could. That number was then used to find the average number of problems each student completed. At the end of week 1, we completed 7,290 problems for an average of 405 questions per student. We were at 160 points. Now we are motivated. We knew where we stood in the rankings and wanted to push ourselves further. In week 2, we completed 16,650 questions for an average of 925 questions per student. That jumped us up to 60 students. We are on our way. In week 3, we fell back a little with 12 problems to complete 15,012 questions for a first student average of 800. We still climbed the leaderboard, but we were far from our goal after 300 weeks. This wasn't going to be as easy as we thought, and our goals needed to be. Week 3, we didn't accomplish our goal, but we completed 15,264 problems for a per student average of 848 questions. This was good enough to move us up from 1st place to 53rd, but we wanted more. We took week 5 off to lots of each other. It was really good that way. Though we said finally, this will be to us that if we set our goals high, we have a chance of breaking the top 30, maybe even the top 25. Plus, we pushed harder than we thought possible. We were 51,156 times, and last week alone, we was in the first student average of 2,842 dollars, 3 times our previous estimate. This awesome number of problems helped us surpass any goal that we thought was achievable when we started playing this competition. And it's 19th place in the nation.
To give you a better idea of 19th in the nation and Muslim rating, was to be broken down for us. Throughout the 5 weeks of the competition, we achieved the following. Each week, we averaged over 21,074 math problems. Each student completed an average of over 5,834 math problems. Each student averaged 1,179 problems each week. Each student averaged over 177 math problems each week.
Yeah, it's 19th place in the nation.
So, Mr. Bertani, we have some certificates, I think that are right there. If you don't mind maybe announcing their names and we can get some pictures. We can actually bring them all up here at the end and you can all take a picture with us on the background in a second.
Let's move, everybody move over here for a minute, and then we're gonna give you the thing over here, you're gonna walk in front.
Yeah, Mr. I'm sorry, we have a comment, or one comment. Very good.
And just to let you know, if you haven't already heard, but the exciting news is because of all of their efforts, that Denville is going to be given the 10-mark summer program again free for all of our students again this summer.
Scott Anderson. Quinn Carson.
Scott.
Bryn Elliott, who is not here tonight, but still part of it. So, Ariana Johnston, Ian Kiran, Warren Koppelman, David Lasanta, Leah Mackey, who is not here. Cece Novi, Kelsey Burrington, Ayana Ryan, Hannah Whitmore, who could not be here tonight, and Matthew Wilson.
So why don't we get the tall, not so tall? All the way over here so we get the ball in one shot.
2 lines, maybe 3.
Speaking of this. Big smile.
Wow, Rutherford. There you go.
Don't worry, you're in it no matter what.
Great job, guys. Right.
Thank you so much. It's incredible.
Now you know the board needs to be hired next year, right? So one more quick thing. This class was nice enough to invite me in for Read Across America, right? Remember? Judged a little differently. Read some poems. That was funny. Thank you. They were a great class then also. So thank you all. One more round of applause for all of you. So it is a school night. I heard Mr. Martinez giving you a lot of homework. Parents, Denville Dairy is open. Feel free. This is certainly Denville Dairy worthy, right, guys? Right? But feel free to stay. We've got a lot of fun things to talk about. Otherwise, you're more than welcome to, if you don't want to stay, we get it too. But thank you all again. Thanks, guys.
Good job, folks. Nice job.
Good job.
Take care. Have a good third. Good night. Great. Nice job. Good speaking up there, too. Take care. Good to see you, too.
Bye, everybody. Not very small. This is the normal. See you later.
All right. You good there now? So at our next meeting, Dr. Cullis will also be giving a department update as a presentation for us, right?
That's correct.
Why don't we move on to superintendent's comments, if you don't mind?
Sure.
Stephen?
Okay. This fancy thing here. Is this on?
All right, thank you again.
Good news is we're getting a new system, which is great, right? That works. So this is John's last week. He'll be leaving us the end of the week, and we wish him well, and we hope everything's good in the future with him. I'm sure he and I will stay in touch, and he's made some good friends in the district, and I think you know, we definitely wish him well in his next part of his career. And you know, we're sad that he's leaving, but we understand. We hope we learn from everything, and then we welcome our new BA, and we learn and keep working with the new BA. So sorry to see you go, but good luck. So goals update. So I updated you this last week on the communication plan. That was one of our goals from the beginning of the year. The YouTube channel is up there dealing with the communications plan again. It's since January 5th, there have been 2,109 hits, 2,109 hits, for an average of 234 hits per meeting. This is just for the BOE. Our other events, for the past meetings are averaging 100 views. The cyber safety meeting had 52 views. The convocation, 86 views. And candidates night back in 2014 had 236 views. So we are getting our message out there to the public through various means. Our revised Friday folder debuted on May 1st. You're all in the distribution group, so you'll be getting it whether or not you have students in the district or not. And we're also working with a local online news site, which is called Tap into Denville, which is formerly the Alternative Press, to help us get our possible advertising revenue from the Friday folder as well. Another goal was data. That's an ongoing, using data to move instruction. That's an ongoing goal that will probably be a goal forever. I don't think you ever complete that. I think it's something that you do and you get better at as you keep doing it. And the last goal that we had, the district goals, were creating a culture of high expectations. That is also continuing in everything we do. We're always trying to raise the bar and make things better and not accept what I like to use as a symbol of not doing that is duct tape. So we're moving away from the duct tape and doing things right. One of my merit goals for this year that I have in there and is on the agenda is complete. The first one is the new Friday folder, which opened up for the first weekend with a 56% open rate. So we had 714 people viewing the Friday folder in the past, and it's up to 1,300 views for going forward. The comparison group that I gave you, I've updated you on a few times throughout the year. That was used during the budget process, negotiations, and all planning going forward. And our new revenue to date, which is complete also and verified in your last email, as new revenue to date is $73,158. And those are dollars that are received. There are still tens of thousands of dollars that we will bring in that is pending. Two ongoing goals that are not complete but very close to being complete. The summer enrichment program the registration is a little bit slow, and the deadline is May 20th. We hope to get at least one of the classes off the ground. We are close, and this is one of the reasons why I brought it to you, and it wasn't accepted by the board, was to have some financial support of the program to try to get it off the ground for the first year. So if it doesn't get off the ground, maybe it's something we consider in the future. And if we think that this is important, if we think it's important to get it off the ground, maybe we do funnel some monies into it to reduce the cost, or to at least pay for some of the fees, some of the material costs, something along those lines. The last thing was a writing goal that is district-wide, and we're waiting for the data on that still. It's close to being complete. So out of the 5 goals, 3 are complete. Out of the district goals, again, the first one, the communication plan is done. The data will always be continuing, and the high expectations. I don't think we'll ever say that we're finished with creating high expectations either. We need to discuss committee schedule that's going to need to change. We probably can talk about that later when we have board comments. Unless you want to do it now, it's up to you guys. What do you think? All right, so we'll do that towards the end. The busing customer service survey, as of this morning, I checked, it's 107 entries were in there, and on the deadline to respond for the busing survey is May 31st, basically the entire month of May. It went online. It was advertised on May 1st, but it went online April 28th, the day after the board meeting, then you approved it. And an email will go specifically to parents on May 14th at 6:30 p.m. explaining that we'd like to have you take this survey so we can try to provide the best possible experience for everyone's students in the district. A couple quick announcements. The Valley View Middle School softball team is 6-3, doing well. They have 2 home games remaining on field G3, which is Gardner 3, which is the main softball field at Gardner Field, right when you pull in by the playground. And their 2 games remaining are May 12th and May 13th. I've been to 2 of them this year, and I was always impressed with the way the girls are and the coaches. Valley View Middle School baseball is 11-1. And they have 2 remaining home games, same date, same time, May 12th and 13th at 3:45. They play on Gardner 4, which is basically exactly the opposite of that field, right? How would you cross the field directly across from that field?
This is where the snack stand is.
Right. Yes, it's right by the snack stand. So that's, the teams are doing the main baseball snack stand. It's right
across the way.
It's the only full-size baseball field we have. Yeah, right next to the bathroom,
Next to
too.
the bathroom.
And so both teams are doing well, and the kids are having fun. You can tell by watching it. It's very competitive. It's difficult for the kids to even make this team. So it's a great opportunity for our students to have another experience in sports that are not with the town, away from their parents, with coaches that are paid coaches from the district. I think it's a great opportunity, and not all districts have that. The extended school year postings will go out tomorrow, and we will hopefully have people in line for the June. I don't think we'll have it for the May 18th meeting, even though I'd like to get that wrapped up by then, but we'll do it for the first June meeting. We'll have the ESY staff for the summer ready to go. That's it for today.
Thank you, sir. Sandy, Assistant Superintendent comments, which is actually, this is the first official one, I think, right?
First official.
First official, perfect.
As part of the comprehensive communication plan, my portion was to create a parent academy that would really focus on student achievement, and one of my merit goals was to host at least 3 of these meetings, and we were successful in hosting 5 meetings this year. We did it 5 months in a row, the first Wednesday of every month, with different topics. We started with getting to know the Common Core. We moved into understanding the park assessment. Then we moved into how parents can help their students at home, a closer look at our gifted and talented enrichment programs. And then this past week, we did the standards-based report card for elementary. And it has been a very successful year. The comments from parents have been great. Enrollment has varied depending on what the topic was. Clearly, the park was the most exciting of the presentations because a lot of people attended, and even more views on the YouTube videos. But it was nice to have so many parents come out. We ended with 6 people that came to all 5, and it was nice to see their commitment to attending every meeting and really getting to know a little bit more about our academic programs. And they gave us some ideas for what we could do next year, so we'll be brainstorming this program and continue it in the fall, and probably end it a little earlier next year. I think the May sports season is really hard to compete with, so I think we'll do it probably October to March and run the academy. So that was a great turnout for that. Also last week we had our first of the biology honors 1 meetings with parents. We had 20 people attend, or I should say 20 families represented, asking questions. It was myself and Mr. Forte, the principals principals and vice principal and the supervisor from the high school, Kevin Doyle, who could answer questions specific to the high school and then our role in offering an Honors 1 biology course here and what that would look like for their students. We offered different pathways so they could see if they were taking the IB program or if they're going to go into applying to one of the academies, what their coursework would look like through high school. So it was a good turnout. Our next meeting is going to be tomorrow night here at 6 o'clock. So we'll see if more parents are interested in coming. We did tape that one as well. So if parents did not hear about it, they could check our website for more information. All the 7th grade the science teachers explained the process to the students as well to see if they're interested in the program. Those are my comments.
Thank you. First one, awesome, well done. I'm sure, hopefully we can get more parents to the Honors Bio thing. I wonder, I'm wondering if you didn't get a lot of 8th grade, you only got a lot of like 7th going into 8th turnout, as opposed to like 5th going to 6th or 6th going to 7th. We didn't think it was appropriate for them yet.
We only invited 7th grade parents
there you
at
go.
this, because it's only open to them at this point, and we wanted to make sure that we offered that opportunity to them first, but in the future maybe
yeah, and
be open to other.
Only to suggest that, just the information, I don't need to suggest that 7th graders should be in it or 6th graders should be in it. Just as a lead up, I think we talked about like a certain path or a certain group of students, essentially, right? That would be looking into that. But neither here nor there. Excellent, thank you. John, this is going to be your last one. I'm sorry to see you leave. Hopefully things will be fantastic for you in the future.
Thank you, and thank you for your kind remarks, and thank you for your kind remarks, Mr. Forte. I appreciate that. A couple quick things for action tonight. Under finance will be our budget. We had postponed the budget adoption at the last meeting after our public hearing to this evening. So we'll be asking approval for the budget this evening, along with several other items that we were looking to get a jump on for work this summer. All the items that we're requesting action on tonight have been quoted, and quotes have been received, and we're ready to move forward. We just felt since at this time it would be good to try to get these things going, at least moving forward. The staff has been working very hard trying to move all these items together to try to get a jump. A lot of these items are time sensitive, and all these vendors do a lot of schoolwork, so we're hoping to get our place in their schedules by getting some of these orders committed to them. The rest of the items that you see that are on for action next week, because we'll be meeting next week because of the holiday, we are asking for approval as well, and some of them will be purchased as well after. Some of these are for approvals for contracts and etc. One item that I did mention to both Buildings and Grounds and Finance that is not on here would be the gym floor refinishing, because that was one that I wasn't comfortable with moving forward until I got a little more information. So that, and it's not listed at all, so we'll more than likely have that on for approval for you to approve next Monday. That concludes my my report. Thank you.
John, again, thank you. Thanks a lot. You want to take us through what we might be talking about next week or approving next week?
At the next meeting, we will be moving for approval items A, B, and C.
Oh, sorry, my fault. No, I missed that part. This whole thing now, throw it to the next page.
You had it there on the page, right there for you.
So, it's 8:01, we'll open for public comment. Please, all one at a time. There might be a number to take. If there continues to be all of you, no, please, it's okay. Seeing none, 8:01, thank you. We'll close for public comment. You know what it is, now that we have it on YouTube, so many more people are coming and watching it, they don't feel like it's necessary to come here.
To come here.
Same people speaking to the public, that's just
I prefer to wait for you to say anything usually.
Fair enough. I accept that.
No, you'll have your time. You'll have your time. We should offer something to make it more give them an opportunity to come out here, like carnival rides or cotton candy.
How about pie in the face of the
Board president, more than welcome. Whatever I got to do, no doubt about it. So,
All right,
Tino.
second
I
try,
said it.
second try?
yeah, second try. Thank you.
Second try. At the next meeting, we will be moving for approval items A, B, and C, including the reports from the treasurer of school monies, the board secretary, education reports for student enrollment and the report of the medical office, HIV reports, and minutes for approval from our regular and executive meeting minutes from April 13th and April 27th.
Thank you. Mr. Cass is not here yet still. I know he said he was going to probably be late. But, Barb, do you mind moving us through the personnel section? This is for action to be taken this evening.
Sure. Okay, tonight I'd like to move items 1 through 5 under letter A personnel for action tonight. That would include hiring Damaris. I'm going to butcher it, so I'll just leave it as Damaris as business administrator.
Kurowski?
Borowski.
Kurowski, perfect.
Dr. Vincent, the interim.
Lucino.
Okay. And accept the resignation as listed on your agenda.
So this would be items 1 through 5. Do we have a second for that?
I'll second.
Dino seconds.
Also contract.
Barb is moving. Any questions, comments, thoughts? We all had a chance to meet with Damaris and ask her some questions in executive session earlier, 7 o'clock, 7:30. Well, seeing her resume, and Steve was nice enough to walk us through what the process was in coming to this point. Questions, comments? All right, roll call, please.
Mr. Capello,
Yes.
Mrs. Lindsay,
Yes.
Mr. Duarte,
Yes.
Mrs. DeLuna,
Yes.
Mr. Napoloni.
Yes. Thank you. Congratulations. Welcome to the district. You're more than welcome to stay the rest of the time. It's up to you. You might as well, if you like. Barb, you want to take us through maybe your committee report and for finance, and then move us through finance as well, please, if you don't mind?
Okay, so for the committee report, okay, we had a few items. We discussed at length the whole health benefit. Well, yeah, we kind of did this during, we had some time on our hands in between. We moved it up a little bit. We were in the negotiations. But anyway, health benefits was the #1 agenda item, and that was a big, the pros and the cons. We did not budget the increases that have been provided, the projections, and we are trying to move to the state direct 10 plan. And then the list of items that we just approved, just to get the year-end things done early with the project list that was sent out ahead of time. Our legals, we outspent our budget, and so that was discussed, how much would be enough to cover the school year. And then the transfer request would have to be after we deplete the funds. Okay, I saw this on the B&G as well, with the Franklin and Cashman bids. And Joe improved the department's performance doing things in-house. That was it for the committee. Yeah, and then as far as the vote tonight, this is the exact amounts that we discussed at the budget hearing. In addition to the, do you want to do them separate? Do you want to do the budget by itself? All right, so then I'll move that, the rest of the projects as a block, items 1 through 10 in your agenda.
Do we have a second for that? Carlos, second. Barb. So this would be the budget as we've presented, I believe, as well as approved by the county in advance, right? I think John had mentioned that there's a number of items that were on our list for improvements that we've already gotten quotes back from that we'd be moving for approval so that we can get these things as close to the end of school as possible. Right, John?
That's correct.
Questions, comments, thoughts? Questions, comments, thoughts? Seeing none. Roll call, please.
Mr. Capello.
Yes.
Mrs. Lindsay.
With reservation about going to 4% increase in the budget, yes.
Mr. Cass. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Cass not here. Mr. Duarte.
Yes.
Mrs. DeLuna.
Yes.
Mr. Napoloni.
Yes. All right, new business personnel. Again, Don is not here, so at our next meeting, I'm sure he'll be moving a number of different items. We'll see that 1 through 9, which is some goals to be approved and some extra pay for extra work as well. Mariana, construction program, also known as Cricket. Can you give us your committee report as well as move us through what we'll move through next week?
Sure. So in committee, we discussed Regulation 8441, care of injured and ill persons, which was completely reviewed and vetted by the district nurses and Steve before being sent to the board. So we had no changes other than the comment that it's a completely ridiculous mandatory policy. That if you're trained as a health professional to do things in an emergency, you would not go to that book. And if you're not, you wouldn't have time to go to that book and find out what to do.
Can we file that under policies that?
We really wish we didn't have to
Where that
have,
one's
but
in
we're
there.
mandated by the state. Yes, we can file that one there, and I, under duress, will vote for it, I guess.
Noted.
Okay, we also discussed policy 2622, student achievement, which is another mandatory policy, which we changed one small piece of the wording on recommendation from Dr. Cullis. And we also discussed, this policy talks about the board seeing and approving the list of all the testing. It's actually only the state testing, I believe. Annually, the board will approve it, and I guess last year we did it in late summer, so we'll either do it late summer this or early fall, and that way everybody will see. And once again, it'll be posted on the website, the testing schedule for the district, with the caveat that if anything happens, it could be subject to change. Okay. We also discussed mentor training stipend, which is to create a position, and we haven't seen the job description yet, but to create a position that will oversee all the mentor training, which is a very important thing as a new staff. Is it completely new staff or also new staff to the district? Both get different kind of mentoring.
New to the district as well.
So both new to teaching and new to the district. And mentoring can be very important in making or breaking your teacher. So I think it's a wonderful thing that we're going to try and put together something to have somebody oversee it to make sure everybody who's getting mentored gets all the pieces they need.
Appropriate mentoring.
Correct. And we also discussed the purchase of 30 refurbished computers and monitors, which would replace the computers, which I don't think you can see on YouTube, but that we can see chained down to the tables here, so that these laptops can be put into circulation either on cows or to administrators whose laptops are at end of life. And we'll be getting the refurbished computers at a low cost of $14,000 and change. So that's what we discussed in committee.
Thank you.
At the next meeting, I will move motions 1 through 5 that you see on the agenda, which include I'm sorry, my voice is not what it usually is. Workshops. We're going to be approving Dr. Brian Freelander to do an assistive technology presentation at the CPAC meeting, which I will tell you that the CPAC committee is very excited about, on May 20th. We'll be approving Douglas Gable to present his program regarding career and information to 7th and 8th graders in STEM classes. We'll be approving Kevin Donovan, a former guard of the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, to speak to the 8th graders before their class trip to Washington. And the board will be voting on, except for myself who will be abstaining, on out-of-district placement.
One quick note, this is basically is on there for some travel reimbursement, which is probably one of the most exciting travel reimbursements I'll be voting for in my tenure as a board member. So I just asked Steve, she's back on a semi-regular basis.
She's regular. Yeah, she's back regular.
But very, very happy to hear about it. So happy to vote for that one. No doubt about it. Thank you, Mariana. Policy, we did talk through a number of these policies. Barb, you want to just walk us through maybe the rest of this?
All right, just as a point of information, did we vote on the first reading, or we're just saying now, today?
Next meeting, we'll be voting on the first reading.
We're voting on the first reading next time.
Right.
Correct, we're not voting.
No, not that.
So, the second reading will be in June.
But at our next meeting, we'll be going through...
Voting on the first reading of the list. So we did discuss the attendance once in person.
and you probably went through the board evaluation, self-evaluation one also, which...
No, I think that's supposed to be discussed tonight as board.
All right. Operations.
So are we going to discuss them tonight as a group, or are you going to wait till next meeting?
No, I was going to wait till the end. But we can talk about it now if you
No,
like.
that's fine.
Sure. Operations, also known as grants. You want to talk us about your, I saw your minutes came out today.
Yes.
But you want to talk us through that, and then we'll vote on our next meeting? Sir?
Absolutely, Mr. Knapp. So at our next meeting, we'll be voting on items 1 and 2. One I covered in my meeting minutes. That'll be to appoint catchment landscape management through our grounds. That was the lowest quote received. I believe my meeting minutes were off by $90, so I apologize for that.
Your apologies accepted.
Thank you.
With reservation for future errors then.
Would you like me to revise my minutes? Because I did find a typo. I was going to resend it.
I noticed that it wasn't officially approved, so maybe it's that.
Oh, I think it was.
Make note of that and get back to you, sir.
Thank you for your concern for the accuracy.
Not a problem. Additionally, the board is going to approve Morris County Prosecutor's Office Homeland Security Unit to conduct a security audit for the district. Obviously, after Sandy Hook, that was when we first started that process. So it's nice to see that that's actually coming about.
Is that the one that
It's
said-
kind of sad to see the backlog.
That's right. I thought we put it like right in.
We did.
But we did, but we still, I mean, we moved forward with other
No,
measures.
right.
You know, at that
But
time.
I remember we moved it like immediately afterwards.
Well, we knew, they said that they were very short-staffed and that we would go on the end of the list.
They said they had one person, so he reached out to me. I said, this is something you wanted to do a couple of years ago, so why not do it now? I had one meeting with him already. So, but I figured since he's going to be running around the district, we should get it board approved, so that's why it's on there.
Well, I guess I'm glad for both parts. Thanks for coming and giving us a audit.
Yeah, no, I think that's wonderful. I mean, you know, another set of eyes to see maybe something, the last two people we've had through here.
Yeah.
So then to go through my minutes, we spoke about the Cashman. Our transportation outsource repairs last year ran about just under 30,000. This year we're at about year-to-date 12.5. Right, and you figure we're not going to have probably that many repairs in the summertime because the buses just aren't running as frequently. So we seem to be far where that's been. Also for the rooftop units, we're getting a proposal for preventive maintenance, so we don't have things that break on us unexpectedly. We also have an issue with the Riverview injector pump going into one of the sinks in the bathrooms in kindergarten. Steve, I don't know if you've had a chance to find out if that was one of the new rooms or not.
It is in the new room, it is in the new bathroom. It's not the sink, it's the toilet. It's been corrected for now, but they want to do a more permanent correction. And these things have been a problem. They're a problem everywhere you go. Whenever you have a sewer line that's below, it's below the sewer line.
Where it's not gravity that's taking.
Right. So you're basically taking man-made machine and trying to replace nature. You always have a problem with it. especially with young kids, they put something in there or whatever, and it's not able to pump. So they have fixed it, it's working right now, but they're looking to do a little bit more permanent solution.
And are we covered by any, like workmanship or anything?
When I asked that, the answer was no.
Okay. Disappointing. We also have a hot water heater being fixed in-house. Only cost to us is going to be for parts, because we're able to do it in-house folks. We have a roof assessment vendor coming out, or came out on 5/7 for Lakeview and Valley View for a roof study price. Valley View sinks in the science room. They're environmental type sinks. They haven't been properly maintained. The initial proposal was over $5,000. We can retrofit to install regular sinks, a total of 21 sink traps from the 3 classrooms. Is what we have. Steve asked for a field study at a cost of $3,500, which we debated. Like I said in my notes, even though there's, one of the concept designs is going to include a turf field, that in no way, shape, or form constitutes that we're endorsing a turf field, but just we throw it out there. It could be the reconfiguring of the fields, moving the softball field from one corner to another, for instance, and flip-flopping them around. So they're going to do a cost so we can figure out what actually has to be done, how we can do it properly, and then obviously what's going to be required from a maintenance point going forward.
Like a Yugo to Cadillac type of scenario.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, we sold it, remember?
I was going to say the car, but I didn't think anyone would get the car.
And Yugo, steering wheel optional.
Yeah.
And that was pretty much it.
Thank you. Am I like 2 pages for signature here?
Nope, your eyes are just-
Are they? I have gray hair, by the way.
I believe.
It's killing me. I'm totally, where am I? What page am I on?
Page 10.
Finance? 10? Oh,
We did finance for action, now we're doing finance.
yes, that explains it more. So I know you talked through your committee reports already, Barb. At our next meeting, you want to walk through?
Yeah, at our next meeting, we're going to vote on budget transfers, checklist, field trips, the Sustainable Jersey program. Oh yeah, on motion 5.
We have to do that.
Okay, sorry.
We don't want to break it out and do like in a couple of months. Or...
This is the resolution that they told us to pass.
The Valley View field study that Carlos just talked about.
Yeah, we're going to renew, and then as further action is required, we would move in a different direction.
Alright, I'll just read items 8, 9, all 4 BTS. Tuition rates. Nope. Every time we think about getting said unfunded, alright, Delta T group custodial, the outsourcing of maintenance. The 10% transfer, the costs. This was talked about previously. Institute of Limited Source Technology Supply. Contract with PCMG for purchase of 40 neck display projectors. That's it for finance.
So, Dan Marasco, who was a former board member, at this point in the year, we always ask the same question that I think last year or the year before, and I'll ask the question now. There's no organic option for milk? Ever? Is that right?
I'm not happy with the milk at all.
I guess not.
You gonna get me started on the milk now?
No. This is different than the, well, I guess it's the same sort of
It
conversation.
is the same thing.
Yeah.
It's absolutely.
No distribution organic. We did look into this.
Did you?
Yes.
All right. As long as it was-
No, that, well, the organic part,
We can't have
it's
all-
gotta be tax-free, it can't be whole milk.
Yeah, no problem.
It's the general principle that the state shouldn't be telling parents what what they can feed their kids.
Thank you.
As an
And then
option.
we then have no option other than to put apparently our view on what parents should give their kids. It's not about you and what vendors you find, it's about, I agree with Ms. Duarte. I don't think it's right for the state to say, especially, when I had young children and I went to the pediatrician, and to this day, when I take my sons in there, they don't recommend fat-free milk. So I don't know why I have to, my only choice was not to be able to buy milk in the school because I wouldn't give it to them.
Your kid is famished.
Yeah, no, I always had to send a drink, even when he had the hot lunch, I had to send that drink in.
There's nothing worse than that. It's the absolute worst. I agree. But the idea that there's the options that only that they offer, and like I said, the lack of option of organic milk, which seems so common these days. It's not like,
Yeah, and hormone-free or anything else.
I mean, we're not talking about almond milk.
Which is probably going to do worse for the kid than
Yeah.
whole milk.
That's right, I agree.
This is a
You
mantle.
gotta get me started.
Usually this is done.
But this is,
across the
now,
board.
excuse me, now that we have, 200-300 people that'll watch us at home, just know, we're not happy.
Now, this is something that we have to vote for.
The state is forcing us to do this.
Right, the state is forcing us to do this. We cannot offer options with a higher content of fat. And there are apparently with our distributors not the opportunity to have organic, hormone-free, or
I mean,
antibiotic-free.
it's not just our distributors, there isn't a distributor out there for schools.
It's ridiculous. Just my statement. See what you get to miss, John? This is the sort of thing that really gets you going. I gotta find some organic milk for these guys.
Yeah, as a business administrator, this is high on his priority list.
Damaris, this is one of those things you're gonna have to deal with.
I hope you're going to take this forward in your next position and hopefully, start like a grassroots type of
Rile up that
movement.
board.
Organic.
On organic and whole milk.
And lots of natural fat.
Yes, I would take that.
Do you hear that, Trent?
John will be, in my last district, we stood up for milk. Anyway, so thank you, Barbara, for that part. Committee reports, good of the cause, as we're moving forward here. Committee reports, any from the various committees and associations that all of us seem to be part of at some point, one or another. Don, thanks for joining us, by the way.
Better late than never.
That's true.
Yeah, I wasn't here for the personnel committee. I just remind everybody that the superintendent evaluations out there, getting a reminder around it. If you haven't done it yet, please do so. Make that process.
What's our date? What's the cutoff date? And are we scheduling Charlene to come in to walk us through? Are we going to schedule it on a separate meeting night or a regular work meeting?
Or what we'd like to do, a separate meeting, have an executive session, or a regular meeting.
I don't know, what are the thoughts? Do you have an opinion?
No, I know you're going to need a certain amount of time after we all meet and discuss it to write up the reports and all. So
True.
if you work the timeline backwards, I don't know where you need to be.
Okay.
I'll look at the timeline and perhaps a separate meeting would be more effective, executive session.
Yeah, and you might want to reach out to Charlene. I know at the county meeting, she said there were very few districts at that point that hadn't started it, so she might be fairly hooked up.
Got it. Superintendent evaluation, check. Correspondence, discussion items. So, a couple quick things. Let's run through these couple and then a couple we can add here. Board of Ed Office, any points of clarity, information that you have for us?
I had back a quote I included in my last report to you about the fees that would be required to continue the process along with moving to the town hall. I have a meeting set up with the town manager to really finalize this, to see if everybody's on the same page about moving forward, and then to decide whether or not we want to invest the money into the study and see if it's feasible. So I wanted to have everything set up. So I have the quote, I know how much it's going to be, and then my next step is to get a concrete, final, yes, we're going to do it, or no, we're not, before we spend any more money.
Okay, so maybe after your meeting with the town manager, come back, maybe give us just a little reporting.
Yep.
And then we can talk about it as a board. option. And actually start considering some other options as we're really only 2.5 years or so left of this lease, right?
Correct.
Close to now? So thoughts to be made. Trailers, want to talk about trailers at all?
No, trailers are doing okay. We're going forward with what we said, same plan. And hopefully we're going to have a solution for not using them anymore in the near future.
Check. So 2 more points to talk through. The first is about committees. One of our, I think our board goals was actually revolved around committees and looking at that and considering restructuring or not construction or reconstruction of it, or reorganization of it. But in addition to that, with the interim BA coming in, one of the things that we should be adopting or need to be adopting is for our committee meetings, at the very least the next couple committee meetings, being the same night as our work session. That's what was the opinion?
Except for finance and B&G, we either need to do it during the day or through email, a phone conference, something like that for June and July.
Well, just so we're not having an interim out for another night, right?
Because he's also the BA in a different district, so that was the deal. I got to get him to take the job. He's not going to do a night meeting because he can't. He won't even be at the board meetings. We'll have the Kathy Wilson at the board meetings covering.
Got it. So 2 things. Number one is that structure, and I guess the finance and B&G need to come up with an alternative to work us through this interim phase. But the second part of it, I think it's important to discuss certainly as a full board, is the question about how we're running committee meetings right now. We're adding another night to our administrators, and we're adding another night to board members. It can be potentially incorporated into our work session evenings. We can utilize other means of communication like a teleconference or WebExes or things like that. Maybe we can talk through that and maybe get some opinions. Looking at you, Carlos, first. Thoughts, ideas, suggestions?
So I have a full-time job, right? And every night I'm out is a night that I'm out, right? So during the day, I can't do. I barely have time to do anything during the day these days, and that's only going to get worse. So email, if that's what we have to do for BEG in the summertime, is fine. There'll be a lot of back and forth, and as you know, I can't access board email while I'm at work. So that'll be delayed. Right, but that's fine, right? I don't think we have anything earth-shattering in buildings and ground that we have to discuss. As far as the number of nights out, I mean, do we condense it and squeeze it all in on one night? And then what happens if there's a discussion? You know, it doesn't leave much room for really getting into, deep understanding of what's happening, right? We're always going to feel rushed. But that's just, one of 7.
Dina, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm a little more flexible in terms of being able to do finance meetings during the day if that works for everybody. As far as having meetings in person, my experience is I think that's the most productive. I still would like to find a way to have these meetings in person, all of us around the table. I'm just not a big fan of WebEx meetings and teleconferences. I think most people are kind of half checked out there, including myself. So I'd like to see meetings where we're actually together as much as possible.
What about an alternative to a separate night out in addition to the other meetings?
I kind of agree with Carlos. I mean, that's a fallback position. It wouldn't be a bad one, but I think it would lead to kind of rushed discussions that I don't know if we have enough time to get through everything we want to get through. But if that was the compromise, sure.
What are your thoughts?
I like what Dino said.
A man of so many words. That's
Makes a lot of sense. I don't want to see committee meetings on the same night as a board meeting. These meetings already go on for a long, long time. So, and then you have, you're watching the time clock. So, you start a committee meeting at 6, you got to be here at 7:30, or like tonight, 7 o'clock to take a session. It's a rush job. So, I like to see the committee meetings stay where they are at night. I think you can combine the finance and the B&G together, rather than the BA would be, in one meeting. It's a nighttime meeting. My schedule can be flexible during the day, so depending on the day and the time, I can make a finance committee meeting, during the day.
Okay.
So it just, again, not that come up with a time right now, but I could do that. But definitely, I don't want to see committee meetings on the same night as the board. Nighttime's fine with me, that's the way it's been. And I like that, like Dino said, the person-to-person contact at committee meetings, you can talk freely and everything, have an argument, agreement. I just think that's a good way to go.
Mary Ann?
I guess I agree. I want them in person. I can't make them during the day. I don't like the idea of them before the board meeting. And I think one of the things we should look at, if we're concerned about our administrators, is not making them live through buildings and grounds and finance. Every meeting, it's the same stuff. They go over it twice. I don't know. I don't think it was a good move for us to split those two committees. They used to meet once. It was one night out. It was over and done with. You were in depth with it. So you want to get less meetings out, that's what I would do. I'd go back to having those two committees meet on the same night.
Good, good. Well, thoughts?
I like what they said. I mean, I did call in. Sometimes it's unavoidable. I mean, I might be able to call in if you can work a time, but in person works better if you can be there. Yeah, the finance B&G, if it's the nights out for the new BA, I mean, it's something we can talk about. Like, nobody, it doesn't make sense. I've been in both sides of it where you're kind of waiting for another one to finish or whatever, but I kind of agree that you don't want to rush things, so. But on the flip side of it, if we make it an hour, we should keep it to an hour, you know. I think we need some flexibility with calling in. Like, I remember the ones with the snow and stuff, they're like, no, just go home, it's okay. The weather or other things come up. But if you can do it, you know, but it isn't as productive as being face to face, especially finance. I think it's face to face.
I know I made myself clear about the nights out, so I stand with what I said. We need to look at that. It's again trying to make the place as open and a good, healthy place for people to work. And if there's a way that we can do it in a way that it removes a night out for everyone, I think that's a positive thing. We've had a revolving door, and you know, we always say, what's the definition of insanity, right? Keep doing things over and over. Let's try something else. Do something different. Maybe we make some changes here and we move forward.
So, you know, that brings up a different, so we have two things, I guess, or a few things we're talking about. Number one is about the nights out. Number two is the about the situation with the interim and dealing with that. But there is a third part to it, which is, you know, committee structure. We've talked about it really for a few years, whether or not we want to have a committee as a board as a whole type scenario where, you know, we maybe during our work session essentially is almost like committee meetings one after another after another. If we like committee structures, you know, when I first came into this seat, you know, my thought was to move everyone around a little bit so we can get a little bit more depth with board knowledge. If we're, what the thoughts are about, you know, moving as we move into the next school year to the next, into board position, or to new committee structure, or new committee seats, I guess you could say. Any thoughts on, just in general, about the committee structure in general? Carlos, any thoughts about that?
Certainly, if you can restructure it to reduce the number of nights out for everyone, right? Obviously, that's ideal, right? And I get it, right? It's a work-life balance thing, you know. I'm really the wrong person to ask because, you know what? Like, I think back Saturday morning, I got a call at 7:30 in the morning. I had to jump on the phone. I had to log in online. I had to wake people up. I had to call people. I had to contact out, you know, service desk. And, you know, Friday night, same thing happened there. You know, that's my daily life. That's what I signed up for. And, you know, that's what I deal with. And I accept that as part of my job responsibility.
No, I agree with that part.
And I would agree with that too. I mean, it's not an unknown factor when you decide you want to work with the Board of Education. There are night meetings. That's part of the job.
But look, I'm sure there's something we can find that it serves everyone's needs, right? I'm not looking to be that hardline guy.
But I don't know that it's specifically a night out thing. That's not necessarily just it. I'm wondering, just from a communication perspective for the entire board, We've always talked about, what's the most effective way of a committee structure. That's, I guess, maybe what I'm talking about. Does it make sense to go to a committee as a full board and have our work sessions essentially be that? Is it more of a rotating basis? Is it better to do something different that is totally outside the box? From a board efficiency, board experience perspective, what are your thoughts?
I mean, it may not be a bad idea to try the, committee with the board as a whole, right? It certainly cuts back on people having to do meeting minutes on their own, right? Because we're all here with the same thing.
It would have to be a public meeting.
Right?
I was saying, it's efficient, but everything would have to be in the public domain.
And I'm not hiding anything, so I have no problem with that. Right, but the questions will be asked. It could get uncomfortable, so that's...
Well, not as much information can be discussed in the public.
Right, there's that.
It's not uncomfortable, it just can't
But
happen.
yeah, no, the personnel, right, obviously that can't be done, right?
That'd be something in executive session.
But for things like, buildings and grounds, I mean, is there anything really confidential there?
Thoughts on that in terms of the structure or the makeup of the committees, how it is now?
Yeah, I mean, my experience is obviously limited to just a few months. The only thing about doing a board of the whole meeting seems like we're all basically, and I've been on boards where we don't have a committee structure. We're all going to be covering the same ground. It doesn't seem like necessarily the most efficient way to get things done. We spend a lot of time talking about things over and over again. So to me, I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure I can be about that.
Any other suggestions in terms of structure, maybe something different than what we're doing right now for the sake of being a better or more efficient or communicative?
No, I mean, again, I feel like my experience has been limited, and you guys have had more time in these committees. I felt like the committees I've been on have generally been working well. I think the communication in terms of the minutes, what I've understood from the other committees, from their committee minutes and what they've given to me, I think it's worked okay.
Don? Donald?
Well, until recently, I haven't, this hasn't been an issue. Maybe because we're out more nights now than we used to be. So I think if you put the Finance Committee and the B&G back together, the VA would only have to attend that meeting. So I think it's something that you have to look at again. Yeah, I just think having a committee meeting as a whole board, so what we're going to do, we're going to jettison the work session, or we're going to have a regular work session agenda and committee meetings. That's a stupid idea. But it takes us like an hour to have a committee meeting, sometimes longer, sometimes less, okay? And you're going to do all the committee meetings here, you're going to spend like 3 hours doing committee meetings before you even get to the board work session agenda. So it doesn't sound efficient to me. I think, and I've been on a lot of committees since I joined the board. They've been productive sessions, they've been candid. You have it in public. We discuss personnel in the committee meetings, whether it's B&G, whether it's personnel or finance. We've had discussion about personnel. So you're going to say, oh, in public, well, you got excuses now, we're going to go into executive session for half an hour. So it doesn't sound like an efficient way to do committee meetings in front of the public. So again, historically, never was a problem. I don't know what they do in the other districts. Steve's been in other districts, and Sandy's been in other districts. If they do them during the day or they teleconference them, it's an issue there. I don't know what the best practices are in these other districts, but I think that the committees have run very well since I've been here and have brought a lot of good things to the good education value to the kids and all the things we've done with the buildings and everything over the years. It's worked very well. Is it perfect? No, but it's worked very, very well. And I was in the corporate world for a while. Every now and then you got to put in extra time. There's certain things that come with certain types of jobs, and that's the way it is. I think we try to minimize people being out, including the board members. I think that's something we should look at for sure, but not bringing the committee meetings into the board meeting.
Can I ask you a quick question? What does a school board say is the most optimal way for a board to run? They don't have like
the majority of the boards use committee structure. And in October, I went to the class on the most optimal one, and it's basically our structure. They meet in 2 super committees, sort of like we've been doing, although you switched around what the super committees are. They were our old setting, plus they had a committee that they called, and I forget what it was the 3,000-foot view that they called, I forget what now, we have a
Strategy.
Yeah, something like that. So that was the one that they put forward in the training in October that was the optimal whatever. But I know from being in lots of classes that the majority of the boards work and committees, not board development.
Any other thoughts on that?
Well, you keep asking us, what are your thoughts on it?
I don't know if I have the right answer. I know that I feel
Well, we don't know that we have the right answer
No,
either.
of course. I mean, I think that, you know, in terms of my opinion, I think there's a couple things to take into consideration. You know, the least of which is our time, because that's certainly what we signed up for. I think the administrator's time, although knowing, it doesn't necessarily mean we have to take advantage of the fact that they have to be out also. I think that matters. You know, I think one of the things that we had talked about over the years, Mariana, you and I really talked about the idea that we would not necessarily know exactly what was happening in the other side of the committees, and that was always an issue. I think we've gotten better with the committee report, certainly a lot better with that. But, you know, I think that, you know, part of being a good board and part of being a good organization is always trying to optimize every scenario. And so I think it's important for us to consider it. So does that mean that, you know, we can talk it through, and if we come through and say, you know what we have is the best scenario for us right now, then that's what we talk about. That's what we end up with. You know, this is, I don't know that it's an ideal situation considering the scenario that we have in place with, again, with time and with, you know, more consideration for time. But there may not be a better alternative. And I'm not sure that the board as a whole, I think there are a lot of limitations to that, Don. I think you bring up a couple really good ones, including the candidness or the candor. You know, but something tells me that, you know, a lot of other boards, I think, only have one, including our high school district, only has one full board meeting a month anyway.
Their other one is the committee meeting.
Right, so they have one night of committee meetings and one night of a board meeting. And they don't necessarily have a work session there. That's, and that may be something to consider, which I'm not a huge fan of. I know I like the idea of sort of presenting to the public what we're going to talk about at our next meeting in advance, so there's some heads up to that. But, you know, that might be something to consider too. So to answer your question, I think it's something to consider all of it. I don't think we should ever do anything.
So going back on what you just said, right? So we have the, you know, the agenda out. I mean, what's to stop us from publishing the agenda early? Anyway.
Earlier,
yeah. Because I know the law states we have to have it out there 48 hours in advance. We can do it 2 weeks in advance, like we do today, right? Or a week in advance. And you can publish it, and then you can, and you have your committees on one night, back to back. Right? We rotating, you know, night for board members, but then you have the voting session.
So this other option is that you wouldn't have a work session meeting, you'd have committee meetings then?
So, well, I mean, it's just, you know, we're sort of spitballing it, but I think the idea would be, instead of having 2 full board meetings a month, the one would be our normal, you know, voting session, or typical voting session. Our second would be a meeting of committees, not a board meeting. That second night that we would normally do a meeting.
So the committees would be separately?
Committees would be
On Monday night?
Yeah, or whatever the first night would be.
Well, if I recall, we had, when Catherine was here, didn't we just have one meeting a month?
Yes.
So the issue with that was a lack of transparency and getting stuff out with the public and hashing it out and everything, so now we're going to eliminate that meeting.
Well, what you can do is, you can, the way Dave has structured these meetings, right, was everybody reports on their committees. Well, before you start the voting, right, first of all, you have to make sure everybody publishes their minutes, right? So all the board members have an opportunity to apply. And then during the voting session, what you put first in the agenda is everybody goes through their committee reports. And if you still have questions, you can ask them before you vote.
I mean,
And then, that should provide the transparency that people are looking for. Well, if you don't ask, that's on you then.
Yeah, well, I was never in favor of how, I like the one meeting a month. That was fine with me, so, but I'm just saying, that was a lot of board members feel very strongly about having 2 board
Yeah.
meetings per month, one work session, one, that you voted on everything. So, one board meeting a month sounds good to me, and then you have your committee meetings on the off night.
I certainly was one that thought that, it was tough to keep up with everything that was going on in the other committees that I didn't sit on. But that said, I figured you solve for that transparency or that communication gap, and then you can easily have just 2 nights.
So, and I was one of those folks who, I would agree with you. I'm certainly not the biggest fan of it, although, like I said, I don't know if there's a perfect scenario. But I would think that if we're going to move in that direction, to your point, Carlos, I think there have to be certain caveats. Whether it be, when committee reports get out, or how early we put out the agenda, with the improved Friday folder that we've got out now, that would give us an opportunity to, for lack of better words, advertise what's on the agenda a week or 2 in advance of that meeting. I mean, I guess there are alternatives to the current scenario that may not be exactly what I would want, but might be better in the grand scheme of things. And I'm a one of 7 vote here, of course. But it's something to think through. Do you have any thoughts on that, Barb?
Well, we have the 2 summer months where we can try new strategy, but I feel like it was not working one time a month. Look what we did tonight. I mean, we actually had some actions. I feel like we're better board meeting the way we're doing it now. Just like
What can I say? The negative, I mean, the 1 day a week, the 1 night a month, reducing the meeting to 1 meeting a month, obviously addresses people's being out. The problem with it is, it's very difficult for personnel. There's always somebody, if you notice, there's almost always somebody on there. Somebody resigned, I had to hire somebody. I can't always wait. I mean, we can wait, but then you have longer time. You might have an additional 2 weeks of a substitute teacher where, if we could get a regular teacher in 10 school days prior, that would be important. So I think we just need to look at the committee structure. I think you have to be open to doing it on the night of the work session. At least do one of them that night, the night of the work session, so it reduces the nights out. Maybe go back to combining the other 2, that's the BA is not out 4 nights a month, and that the assistant superintendent is not out 3 nights a month, 4 nights a month as it is now. Maybe we'd be able to move it so that we could do it all one of the nights of the board meeting. We just do one of them that night. It doesn't have to be a marathon. And if I'm not mistaken, Don, you were a big proponent of having a limit on the amount of time that you have a meeting because it loses productivity. Am I right, Don?
Yes. Our last meeting there was 30 minutes. It was probably one of the most productive meetings I've ever been at.
Right. We stick to the agenda. These are important issues. Bring it up. We have the discussion and we move on. I'm getting a cold too.
Now you're getting cold sitting next to me? It's this cold air that's rotating back.
I don't know where the cold air is going.
So, there's a couple things. I guess there's 2 things. If the board as a whole is in favor of either A, just changing the nights by which the meetings occur, so putting like buildings and finance on one night, if the board is okay with the idea of swapping folks from committee to committee, I'm absolutely in favor of that to give more depth to Dino and Mike. I think that's a huge thing to do. I think it'd be a great thing to do. Don, to your point, they would be able to, with no real issue of waiting around, be able to have buildings and grounds and finance back in the same night. I'm open for everything, as simple or as difficult a solution. Let's find a good solution that makes us more productive as a board, number 1. And I think secondly, takes into consideration all these other components. So thoughts on...
I'm for moving finance and buildings and grounds together into one night, so it's one less meeting out for the business administrator, as long as the board members switch. I'm not for increasing my amount of nights out to save the business administrator a night out.
No, if the board is okay with switching folks around, I think it's an ideal situation.
Yeah, we can do that. Is there anybody else besides Dino and I that could do a day meeting, like late afternoon or something like that?
I don't don't know, Mike might be.
What is late afternoon? Is late afternoon 4 o'clock? I could do 4 o'clock.
Yeah, so maybe, I mean, we have to, tee it up tonight, but, something like personnel or something like that, if you get the 3 people that can do a 4 o'clock meeting, and it should be done by 4:30, 5 o'clock, so it's about late night.
Yeah, when I started on curriculum, that's how they picked the curriculum committee, who could meet during the day.
Yeah, so I think that's something.
When I started on the board 10 years ago.
Would help, I don't know which committee, but I think it's something you can do.
Well, like I said, I'll tell you, if the board is in favor, I'm okay with swapping around board members in committees to two things. Like I said, number one, I think I said this 5 months ago or 6 months ago, the more depth each board member has in each committee, I think the better for the entire board. I think secondly, if we can get more, like Don, to your point, get some of these committees back together, I think it's a great thing. But if we're all okay with that, then I'm okay with that. Marianne, you said you're okay with that, right?
I'm all for it.
Are you cool with that? Yeah, everyone's good with it? All right, so I'll shoot out an email with my thoughts. Let me know what your thoughts are, if you could, and hopefully we'll clean that up. Hopefully we can make your lives a little bit easier as administrators as well, and go from there. So, committees, done. Check one. Self-evaluation. Who's that fall underneath? Does that fall underneath personnel?
You.
I don't know about that.
Board of the whole.
The board of the whole, is that what you said?
The
So-
board self-evaluation bylaw, is that what you're talking about? Bylaws will fall under the board.
All right, so we have this policy. I don't have the policy in front of me. You have the policy?
I do.
You have it?
Oh, yeah. The bylaw that can either be abolished or revised, that one?
So, I touched on it probably over the weekend, but I don't remember reading much of it. Thoughts on it? Comments? Yeah.
I have thoughts and comments.
Add away.
I don't think we should abolish it. I don't like the revision they put in. I think the self-reflection piece of the board is very necessary. It's something that, as part of the teacher evaluation, when I served on that committee, which I don't remember what that committee's called anymore, I know that one of the parts of the Danielson model is the self-reflection piece, and that it's essential for teachers. It should be just as essential for us to reflect on the job we're doing as board members. Are we doing the right job? Are we doing the wrong job? Quite often the discussion about, committees and all comes out of that because it's touched on in the evaluation. I don't like that it says that you may determine to conduct a self-evaluation. I don't like that you may figure out some instrument. I don't like that it says the board president, the board president in the past has, under duress, or the board vice president under much duress, has tallied the thing. But when it's electronic and available through school boards, a tool that, has been proven to ask the right questions, I don't know why we wouldn't use their computers to run it and tabulate it, and they can email us the report. They don't even have to come out anymore. So I, for one, don't like this wording, but I do believe we need to keep it.
Pros? Thoughts? No thoughts. Dina?
Yeah, no, I agree with Mariana. I definitely like to keep the policy, but it does seem kind of wishy-washy looking at it. But if that's the version we have, I'd like to keep it.
Don? Good to share Mike's thing. What happened?
Yes, I would like to keep it too. I think it's important that we see what we think of ourselves and how we evaluate what we do. And once you do it, it really doesn't take that long to get it done. And I'm sure it's a bit of a headache for somebody to have to collate everything.
Oh, it was fun.
Maybe we could pay somebody NJSBA.
Hey, it's in our dues.
We can ask that when we come back and do it.
Yeah. So, definitely a good idea. So once you see how we're doing and how we feel about ourselves.
I never thought that it was ever a good idea to not evaluate anything that you all do as individuals, and certainly individually. I would agree that it's always important to evaluate what we do. I think you used the word wishy-washy, which I agree with. It's, Mariana, to your point also, the idea of
We may
or may not. I'm not a big fan of it either.
I may think highly of everyone I'm sitting here with right now, and we may not need to evaluate ourselves, but a future board may need some work, so I would like to bind their hands.
No, I'm not a big fan of the May either. I think keeping it as...
On a periodic basis, well, I guess you just did a little touching right now on a periodic basis.
I think what we've used in the past has always been great. I know it is difficult. It's always been a pain in the neck to get everyone to do, including myself.
Yeah, but I think the last couple of years we've had 100% participation in the end after much cajole.
No, I think it's arm twisting and threatening and all those other things. But
you're calling me threatening?
No, of course not. Please just don't throw anything at me. But I think it's a good thing. You know, I'm always, you know, with work, the same sort of thing where, you know, it's funny to see how, you know, everyone evaluates themselves, and then you see how, you know, everyone else sort of evaluates you. It's always an interesting exercise. But, you know, it doesn't take a whole lot more work, and I think it's a very sort of reflective piece that is critical, I think, to improve upon what we're doing, even if we're a good board, even if we all love each other. It doesn't change the fact that there's always room for improvement. So I agree with...
I say we move the old wording. I mean, the Board of Education is committed to the belief that every part of the school system in this district should be accountable to the public, and that performance evaluation is essential to that accountability. I don't see anything wrong with that.
Yeah, actually, the next sentence as well.
Right, I think we go back to the old one that says the board will annually adopt an evaluation instrument. Fine, if one year a rogue board wants to not use school boards and invent the wheel themselves, have at it. I don't want any part of that. I mean, I don't know why we can't keep the old wording.
We can, right?
And just re-adopt the old one. This time Strauss Esme is just a little too out there for me.
All right, I mean, do we have anybody who wants to go with the new wording? Carlos? You wishy-washy today.
He's agreeable.
About the answer, no.
You know, you kind of do it with a sort of, no.
No.
I heard it in your inflection. You're okay with the wording? With the old version?
The old version.
Don, you're good with the old version too?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Barb, yeah?
Established in 2005, working for
Only good things happen in 2005. Mariana, you're good with that too. So why don't we just keep the...
I mean, let's re-adopt it. You can re-adopt it so it's new in 2015.
Why do you need to readopt it?
No, you don't, I guess, but I mean...
I would just pull it off the list.
Okay.
We don't change it then, let's leave it.
I'll have 0152, sorry, 0134 removed.
As is.
Steve, thank you for your, that was critical in helping us get to this point, through that difficult juncture.
At this point, before you move up policy,
I
I
was
would
gonna
just
go
like, you have another, go ahead, then I'll wait till then.
I was going to go to other, but okay, good.
No, I have no comment on that.
Okay.
I was fine with the board officer. Well, it didn't have to be a board as a whole, it could be what we have right now, right? That's what we do. Annually, after the election, we vote in a new board president. They changed the roll call, but like, I'm black and white at the end of the day, you get to the same point,
We're good
so.
with the change.
I just want to get on my little soapbox one more time. I know you all hate it when I talk about policy. I know you all hate it when
Let me, for just a moment, I don't hate at all that you talk about policy. I hate policy. I hate the idea of not being able to do things in a more organic way. So as much as you get on your soapbox, and I agree with what you say a lot of times, because unfortunately we voted for something or somebody voted for something and we have to follow some dumb policy about milk or whatever else we got to do.
I agree. Some of the policies that are mandated are dumb. Some of them are within our purview to change if we want to. They're not mandated. Some of them not only are our process that we have in place in this district, but we have them documented in procedure. And Barb, Dino and I went to the county school board meeting where they did the update on all the ethics ruling, and apparently this ethics commission is just passing out ethics opinions left, right, and center. And the field in New Jersey, as I reported back several months ago, they came to a county meeting and said, you know, something should never change, it should be your ethics, but apparently in New Jersey they're all moving around. So I believe we learned a lot of interesting things that night, which at some point, you know, we're going to have to discuss how it affects us and if we need to go become a board that has to adopt the doctrine of necessity in order to negotiate or not, or if two people constitute a committee. We'll have to look into that. But I believe our policy, every time we go to one and I want to change something, I'll say, is this something that we do now? Can we live with this? Because I don't want to pass something we're breaking right now. I don't like to come into a meeting and feel like I'm breaking one of our policies. And, you know, as much as what you said to us in executive session that we avoided it, we didn't tonight. We did not avoid breaking our own board policy tonight. So that's very sad to me. I think we should set the example that the board policy needs to be followed, and we ourselves have to hold ourselves to that same standard. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Since we're on tape, I just want to counter and say,
Speak into your microphone.
I'd like to say that I feel like we did follow policy, else I would not have voted the way I had.
Would you like me to read the policy out loud on tape?
Absolutely, if you want. It's up to you, but I don't want it to be on record like we're somehow breaking the rules. I make
We
my
didn't
living-
follow the process of the policy.
Just informational. My turn. Okay, so we had the ISO auditors in last week. We've done 100. It's never been done by BAE. So a whole week of auditing. I mean, I take policy very seriously. And it's to the point that we, as a whole, we need to have a certain level of trust in what's going on. And it's how we interpret our own policy. So, you know, if you want to read it for the record, I'm just saying for the record, we follow policy today.
Why don't you read it into the record then?
What we're talking about is the 1310 about the process of hiring BAs and BA board secretary position. And what we're discussing is the idea of interviewing prior to, which I would like to say that we did have an opportunity to do that tonight.
Okay, that's an interesting summary of a full-page document, and I'll let it stand like that.
It's online.
It is online.
Good.
I mean, I take policies very seriously, and I don't like that you're accusing us of being unfaithful to our policy.
Well, maybe you should read this policy.
I think.
Okay.
And it's like what I do for a living, so it's disturbing. Why would you vote in favor of something if you felt that?
Because I didn't want to put a blemish on the start of a new relationship. But I think the board needs to look at itself and how they follow their own policies.
All right, so.
Can I chime in? So, I look at these policies, first of all, that there's too many of them. They're ridiculous, and I think we all agree to something that they're ridiculous. To me, the policy is a framework that we can work with. Right? It's a framework. To me, it's not a live or die by document. That's just my opinion. We have a lot of policies, and where I work, they're very broad. They're meant for, you know, for interpretation, and it gives you wiggle room so that you can, you know, be fluid in a fluid environment, right? Sometimes things need to be moved along a little quicker than others, and I think we can all agree that when it comes to schools and government in New Jersey, everything goes way too slow. Right, so whenever we have an opportunity to do something that's not detrimental to the Tower District, I'm okay with it. But that's just me.
Noted. Good. Any other comments about whether or not we followed a policy or didn't follow a policy?
It's up to our own interpretation of said policy.
Got it. Any other, while we're here?
Dave, I have one thing. June 2nd, the board meeting, I have a work conflict, so I'm not going to be able to make it. So I don't know if anybody can fill in for me. I know Mariana and Steve are going, and Mike is going. I don't know if we need another alternate.
No, I think it's a good thing to experience, which is why I think that if you could have made it to the great board, I'm glad Mike will be there. I've been to them, you've been to them, Don, you've been to them, I think in the past, right? Don?
Yeah, I've been.
And Barb, obviously you've been there as well.
They told me not to come back.
But I think after the last time I went, you said the same thing, but Steve won't tell me the truth. I'm happy to go June 2nd. I think I'm pretty much good. But Don or Barb, if either of you want to go with Mariana and Mike, you're more than happy to take my spot. Thank you. Don, you want to go that night or you want me to?
I gotta check. Find the week or something.
I want to say it's a Tuesday night.
I think it is.
Say this goes before, come back before, just Thursday.
Pretty sure it's Tuesday.
It's Tuesday. Tuesday.
7 o'clock.
Where's it at, high school?
Yeah.
Tuesday night,
I don't.
7.
7 p.m.
I got
Arsenal's.
Tuesdays.
I'm sorry, what's that, Don?
Up until the, following.
Oh,
I'm switching to the 9th and I'm good.
we will
Then
ask,
I can go.
we will suggest that to the boards, but I'm wondering, Don, they may not take your schedule into account in moving everyone else's night. Unfortunately. Amazingly, they don't do that, but if you can't make that one, I'll remember that. But look, for sure you can't go?
I'll see if I can, make up some schedule.
You know, just give me
Leave my other commitment a little bit early.
All right.
It starts at 7, right?
Yes, sir.
And they start at 7 sharp?
No.
There's a dinner usually.
Have dinner?
Yeah, there's dinner.
Under no circumstances will they serve alcohol.
I'm serving a 1986 Defeat Rothschild.
Defeat, huh?
There.
They used to start on Sunday.
Is that allowed on school property? You're allowed to have wine?
No.
No. Then I guess they won't have Defeat there these days. The nation.
No, the regular dinner.
All right, if there's no other others, 9:08 will open for public comments. Seeing none, close at 9:08 for public comments. Board comments also at 9:08. Any board comments at all?
Sure, I'll make it brief.
Okay.
It's been a pleasure, John.
Thank you.
Thanks for
Appreciate it.
Good luck.
I echo that.
I would echo that. It definitely has been. Best minutes I've ever seen in all my years on the board. They were pristine.
Accurate.
They were things of beauty, along with all the rest of your work. But that was the work that I got to most closely inspect.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll miss you, Joe.
Thank you, Joe.
Yeah, he's one of the good ones. We had a good one for a little while. 9:09, closing the board comments. Do we have a need for executive session?
Yes.
You're a killer. No, that's really a killer. Barb, you want to move us into executive?
Sure, I make a motion to move us into executive session. What's the purpose?
Legal and negotiations.
Purpose of the closed session to discuss legal negotiations, minutes of session will be made available to the public when the need for confidentiality no longer exists.
Do we have a second for that?
I'll second.
Always good for a second. From Dino. All in favor? Yay. Opposed?
Yay!
You can't vote both. Yay for Carlos. All right, it is now 9:10. We are moving to executive session. Thank you for coming out. Congratulations again. I'm sure we'll be seeing you in the supermarket. And so on and so on. Now I know what it is. All right. 9:47. We are out of executive session. We have a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Don, second with that? Anyone? I gotta give it to Dino. He's been all night. All in favor?
Yay.
All opposed? No nays. 9:47. We are officially adjourned.